Have you ever felt that you are not really that person that you're truly meant to be? Almost as if there is unexplorative grounds or you haven't tapped into your fullest potential. I know I have once or twice. And I also know that there are many of us that feel misaligned with our dreams. And creating a bold persona, a bold identity, will help you to tap into that kind of extraordinary version of yourself that really tapping into your potential. And it will also change everything. I used to be a person that actually struggled in all areas of my life. I didn't feel at home in my relationships. I felt that I hated my career. I felt that I was misaligned with kind of everything in life, actually. I felt that I didn't have any hobbies. I didn't know what my passions were. And I was on a day-to-day basis dissatisfied with life in general. And when I finally understood how to shift into a new version of myself, then is when I turned my life 360 around. And since then, this is actually an exercise and a practice which I have turned to every single time that I want to, reach a new potential within myself, come closer to my authenticity. So we are going to start and kickstart off this video with a new series. This is a series in becoming your most exotic self, and I will soon explain to you what I mean with it, and you will also be able to later on in this video create your own. Put your own authentic expression onto this exotic self. But the most exotic version of yourself is a version of yourself that is radiant, the version of yourself that lives a very abundant life, has a very abundant lifestyle. This version has a good balance with work life, relationships, activities, passion projects, you name it. It is this free-spirited version of yourself that goes about life in a kind of a carefree way, a very calm, peaceful way, but also very excited, giggly way. Your most exotic version of yourself is like this adventurous version, this person of yourself that really wants to explore life. When it comes to changing our identity, many people say that, okay, just tap into, the person that you are meant to be, change the habits, like what type of habits does that person have and so forth. And though that can help, little will actually change if you do not change the energy, if you do not shift the vibration, your emotional state, the thoughts that you're thinking, okay? So if you plan to be another type of person, a person that, for instance, feels greater in her body, and you want to make kind of this change in habits of exercising. And when you begin to exercise, you look at exercise the same way. You're like thinking that is a shitty thing to do. You don't like it. It's boring. You still think about yourself that being ugly. You don't like your body. You just have that kind of same attitude that it always had towards exercise. If that's so, little bit will change. Okay, so this is with everything actually, and I really noticed that in the beginning, when I was quite slow in changing my circumstances, it was actually because I didn't have the energy yet. I couldn't fully tap into that kind of energy. And this is also something that we want to do and need to do on a day-to-day basis. But the more that we shift this kind of energy, and the more that we become a person who truly sees ourselves in another light, in another perspective, our thoughts, our actions, our habits, they will shift too. So that's why it's so important for us to first tap into what's the identity like. How do I perceive myself? How do I feel as this version? Most people try to change their circumstances without actually changing who they are. And when they do not do that, they keep on facing challenges and obstacles, which we all do. Like, we all do that. But the challenges and the obstacles appear to be more of struggle, and we feel that we are not changing. But when we shift how we are and how we see ourselves to be, like, I'm a person who works out and I have so much joy when I'm doing that, for instance. When you change your inner self concept, everything will change thereafter. You will begin to take inspired action according to that version. You will get to, like, that energy will totally move you, so you will get to think in that perspective as well. So this is extremely important when we're talking about, attracting things into our lives and really achieve our dreams. Also, to notice is that, for instance, when I was seeing myself as a very mentally distracted person, I just saw to myself that I am a distracted person. I always miss like either deadlines or miss when teachers are talking about certain deadlines or missing some important key point that the teacher said. When I kept on seeing myself as that person who's daydreaming and who's distracted and cannot keep focus, that is what I just did. Like, I just kept on being distracted and I felt very chaotic and I felt like all over the place. But when I start to see that, you know what, I'm actually a very focused person, it's just that I'm focusing on something else, right? And so when I started to see that, I could also see how I could be a really focused person because I can also really zoom into moments. So I start to say to myself that I'm actually a focused person. I'm a very focused person and I can choose where I want to put my attention and I can choose where I want to put my focus into. And when I begin to do that, my results change too. How I felt about myself in school, how I felt about myself in like all areas of life, actually, and just like when I'm listening to other people or when I'm out and about, you know, I need to take in certain type of information from the circumstances or from the situation, right? I felt so much more at ease and I felt so much more calm in myself. My life totally improved when I started to see myself as a person who was actually a very focused person. Before we jump into today's action, I also want to say that it doesn't really stop with that. It doesn't really stop with, you know, changing and shifting the energy and just being in the energy and thinking about that every single day. No, you have to get obsessed, actually. You have to get obsessed about changing the version and changing into kind of the person that you really see yourself, that this is my extraordinary self, this is myself who has such a great life, a free-spirited life, this is a version of myself who's so radiant, who just like go about the day and feel so excited. You know, that kind of energy we really want to tap into, and we need to exercise to tapping into that. And what I notice while like doing these shifts many times now is that the more kind of bold persona I add to it, and when I name the identity, it's so much easier for my mind to on a day-to-day basis actually tap into it, because I'm making the persona and the version of myself more alive, right? I'm making it easy for my mind to actually pick up on signals and associate things with that. So when I'm saying my most exotic self, my mind is directly and rapidly checking in on, you know, the different type of association it has with the exotic self. Okay, vibrant self, okay, feeling alive, okay, feeling lifeful, you know, all of that. So that's why I think it's not only about saying that I want to shift into a version of myself who is this or that. Like, no, I want to shift into my most, and then the name, exotic version of myself. So, of course, you're going to tap into your authentic version of your exotic self. And in order for you to do that, I will give you some journaling prompts for you. And I want you to write this down because this is something that you want to continue to check in on. Okay, so first you just want to take a blank page. You want to start to write what you associate an exotic version of yourself be. And this can be totally something that I have said, right? It can be like your radiant version, you who feel very extraordinary and you feel that you're living an extraordinary life, you feel very like alive throughout your days, you have like a great work life and love and all of that balance, right? But it can also be other type of things, other definitions that I haven't talked about today. So what is most authentic to you when you tap into, you know, that kind of radiant, vibrant version of yourself? How is that person like? How does that person carry him or herself out of the day? How do they show up in the world? I just want you to, you know, write a couple of words, tap into that kind of energy. You can even close your eyes and just like feel into that energy and just ask your highest version, just like give me some kind of input. When this version is emotionally balanced or emotionally like high on life, how is this version feeling? Like, what does your exotic version of yourself feels when she is just like, oh my god, I have had such a great day today, oh my god, things has been so alive to me, things has been so fun to me, or I have had such a playful day today. Like, what is that person expressing and feeling emotionally? Then I want you to think about, when I think about myself the highest as my exotic self, what do I think about then? Like, how do I think about myself in that way? And when I think about the world the highest, what do I think about then? What are my thoughts like? When I think about someone else or my life the highest, what do I think? What kind of thoughts pop up to my mind? Wow, I have such an abundant life. Wow, I am really in love with how I live life. I'm really in love with the values that I created for myself, right? What is real for you at this point, right? It can be very different from person to person. So really tap into your authenticity, like what is here and now alive for you to express the most in your exotic self. Then I also want you to think about what's the vibe? What's the vibe of this person? Like if someone else is just like, wow, I like your vibe. I love your energy. How is that like? Is it that kind of kind, cute little version of you? Or is it that kind of explorative version of you? Open-minded? What is it? And then I also want you, of course, go a little bit down deeper into your practical parts. Like, what are the habits? Like, when this version of yourself is done for the day, what have they been doing? What kind of routines or rituals does this person have? And especially, how does this person show up in these routines and habits? So when you ask yourself those questions, and you can definitely pause as well, you have now a much clearer vision for yourself, how that exotic version is. And you know much more how to tap into that version, because you actually like have full on paper describe that I think in these thoughts, I show up in this way, I have this vibe, I emotionally feel like this. So now it's for you to exercise getting into those emotions, getting into those thoughts, getting those thoughts to make them more and more and more alive to you, right? So that you become that version, so that you shift into that energy of yourself. And you can remind yourself in different ways. You can have a visualization practice, you can just, remind yourself every morning, like what type of energies do I want to tap into today? And in the end of the day, you will ask yourself again, like, okay, what energies have I actually been in? There are so many different practices that you can do, and do what moves your energy. Do what actually feels the best for you. Is it like, okay, I just want to be very active, I just want to dance myself through life? Like, do that in that case. Like, everything that fits you and your vibe and how you feel, that you are feeling so much more alive with this version, but your energy need to shift, right? You need to tap into that kind of energy vibration of that version. Okay, so get super clear, because next time we are going to learn how to face challenges as your most exotic self. And your most exotic self, just a hint, faces challenges differently than you do today.